I am absolutely astonished. I'm stunned. I'm dumbfounded. I'm bewildered. I'm confounded. And I'm amazed with the amount of people here in the United States of America who are offended by the truth. Today, I may offend some people because I'm going to give you some more truth. It's Sunday, December 8th, 2019. Speaking of truth, you want to know where you're going to find a lot of truth? Read the comments down below. There is an amazing amount of truth in the comments. You people are so bright, so open-minded, so intelligent, so passionate, and there is so much truth in what you're saying that I recommend family members, friends, everybody I know to read the comments in these videos, because you will find a massive amount of truth in these comments. And one of the things that I've seen a lot of is people commenting on what's happening to their local economies, what's happening at work. Many people have written in saying that there's been massive layoffs at their places of employment. People have written in the comments or written me directly saying that they've been laid off. People writing in talking about the closures of malls, shopping centers, retailers, buildings being boarded up, homeless people everywhere. This is a majority of what I see in the comments. Now, there are exceptions. People have written me in certain areas and said that their local economies are doing great, that their job markets are doing great. But when I take it as a whole, I would say that a good 80% of the people writing in talking about what's happening in their local economies or their own personal economy, 80% of the people writing it, it's not good, it's negative. And so I don't necessarily have to watch Fox Business or CNBC or read a newspaper or really do anything other than really read what people, the average American in hometown USA, are writing and telling me it's happening. That's more accurate than anybody wearing a suit on a business channel is going to tell you. Okay? The average American is going to tell you the truth. These puppets that work for these corporations and for this media, for the most part, are lying, where the average American is being truthful. So if you get a chance, please read the comments. There is so much knowledge in those comments. There is an economic wake-up call coming to America. I want to make one more point here. And what I've also noticed people writing me, and what I've also noticed in the comments, are people telling me that their credit card companies have raised their limits. So if you had a $5,000 line of credit, it's now $10,000. If you had a $10,000 line of credit, it might be $20,000 now. And I've noticed a lot of that happening, a lot of people writing me and telling me that. And so when we ask, how is this economy continuing to survive? It's surviving on credit. It's surviving on debt. And so just think of the average American with 4 or 5 credit cards, and now credit card companies raising the limits so people can spend even more, getting deeper into debt. And so many people now using credit cards just for necessities, food, auto repair, rent, just necessities in life day by day to survive. And you know, I question these events daily. How are people doing it? How are they surviving? How's this economy still surviving? And when you look at what's happening, again, when you look at what the average American is writing, raising credit limits so people can borrow more money to pay for necessities or to buy things that they don't need, this is how this is all being propped up, because we have this debt-based consumer economy, and if there is no credit, it stops immediately. If credit cards shut down tomorrow, the economy is over. If banks stop lending tomorrow, it's over. Everything seizes up. And so we have an economy now where people aren't really spending money they've saved up. They're spending money they don't even have. And I see this at some point coming to a very, very bad ending, because at some point you have to pay the piper. There are a few people out there that do believe things are going well, and most people watching this video disagree with that. But for the people out there that think things are going well, I want to go over some of the facts that are happening globally. Let's take China, for instance. Their exports are plunging. The last 3 months, Chinese exports plunging. South Korea, another major export hub, 5th largest in the world. They've been seeing a decline in exports for 11 consecutive months. Japan, their exports are witnessing a 9.2% year-over-year drop in October. Germany is in recession right now with a 0.1% GDP. Then we get to the good old United States of America. Manufacturing remains at a standstill. It is at a historic low of 11% of U.S. GDP. Production output has declined steadily since January of this year. We literally don't make anything now here in America. We barely even have a manufacturing sector left. U.S. retail growth has been in decline. At the same time, consumer debt is rising. People are paying off previous debts by taking on new debt. What happens when people can no longer take on any more debt? I read a really good article this morning on Zero Hedge. It's titled Trapped. When will they know they've lost control? If you get a chance, read this. And remember, don't believe what I'm saying. And I know that everybody out there follows different people. Really confirm and do your due diligence that what they're telling you is the truth so that you can make up your own mind. Every time there's a downturn, the unholy alliance strikes again. Administration officials, the ones that are telling us how close we are to a trade deal. Larry Kudlow, notorious for doing that. Even the president coming out and doing that. So whenever there's a problem in the stock market, somebody's coming out from the administration, even the president himself, telling us how close we are to a deal or how well the trade talks are going. And these markets react immediately. Favorable jobs report, like the one we just got, that really wasn't that favorable. It looked good on paper, but remember, 41,000 of those jobs were General Motor strikers who went back to work. Also, holiday season jobs, a lot of temporary jobs went into that. And the biggest one is the Federal Reserve. All this contributed to a furious rally to make the markets green for the week. Every week, and this is very interesting, but this will give you an idea how to read a trend. Every week since October, when the Fed's balance sheet rises, so does the market. One down week in the Fed's balance sheet coincided with the only down week in markets since then. This is how predictable our markets have become. Tell me the size of the Fed's balance sheet next week, and I'll tell you what the markets will do next week. And think about that. As we know, the Fed is pumping in massive amounts of money into the financial system. They're buying stocks. The balance sheet is expanding. So what do you think is going to happen with the stock market? It's going to go up. We can presume markets will just keep rising until next June, as the Fed has indicated not QE will continue until then, and daily repo operations are on autopilot. So this whole thing is on cruise control unless some black swan flies into the picture, say a Deutsche Bank, something coming out of left field that we don't see right now. But right now, this whole thing is on cruise control. But again, massive debt being created to keep these bubbles pumped up. And these bubbles are getting dangerously huge and out of control. This article quotes Mohammed El-Erian. How do central banks pursue their economic objectives? They do it by pushing up asset prices, by hoping that higher asset prices make us feel wealthier. And as we feel wealthier, we spend more money. But guess what? It doesn't work. But the Fed cannot pull back because it's worried it will disrupt markets that can be a spillover on the economy. The Fed is in a lose-lose situation. They can't do more and they can't do less. They are in big trouble. Now remember, we are at about 1.75% interest rate right now. If we get into an official recession, we need 4 or 5% to drop. We're already at 1.75. I see another rate cut coming shortly. So they don't have a lot of ammunition. At the same time, the balance sheet is expanding. They're over $4 trillion now, $4.07 trillion on their balance sheet. So where's the money going to come from? Where is the bailout going to come from? The Fed is broke. They have no ammunition left. They are in a corner. Sven Henrik also quoted in the article, by having made markets entirely reliant on constant central bank intervention and the health of the economy even closer intertwined with the performance of asset prices, central banks are forced to keep feeding the ever-growing beast they have nurtured. An unattainable situation. The past 10 years, we've seen constant interventions, low rates, quantitative easing, not quantitative easing, the repos. After all this, we sit at a dead end. Imagine when this no longer works, what are they going to do? I don't think most people understand or comprehend how dangerous all of this is. I don't think they have a clue to what is coming. Sven Henrik went on to say this: the last time corporate profits stagnated while corporate debt accelerated higher was during 2000, just before the recession of 2001. People are so oblivious to what's happening to their own country while their Social Security has been robbed, while their pensions are being robbed, while their standard of living is being robbed, while their children's futures are being robbed. This is all going on right now while people today are probably drinking a lot of beer and watching football games. So enjoy the melt up, but know it is a bubble, and bubbles are dangerous when they pop. There's a lot of fear of turmoil. The Fed is just one sell-off away from losing control. Now, these are very, very smart people who are very concerned with what's happening right here behind the scenes with the Fed, with the central banks, with the global economy, with the US economy. They're seeing big, ugly problems here, right here in America and across the globe. And they're seeing some very ugly trends that have been forming. And sooner or later, these bubbles are going to pop. And if you're not prepared for this, you're going to have a very, very hard time surviving. I cannot stress enough to each and every one of you, make sure you are topping off all your preparations, whether that's food, water, security, or your financial preparations like gold and silver. Silver is on an absolute blue light sale. I didn't look at the price today, probably about $16.50. It's been really beaten up. Why are people not taking advantage of the sales of the most undervalued asset on the planet, silver, or its brother gold? Silver and gold, the two most undervalued assets in the world, who are not in a bubble, yet people are buying the bubbles. They're buying overvalued assets. They're buying at the top of the market. I think if you buy a house today, and I don't give financial advice, but I think if you buy a house in this market, you're nuts. I think if you're buying into the stock market, I think you're nuts. This stuff it's at an all-time high. The bubble is going to burst. They're all going to burst. And you have stuff like this that's on sale. This took manpower and horsepower to pull out of the ground. It wasn't just printed out of thin air. It's not a couple digits on a computer screen. This is a hard, tangible asset that has been here for over 5,000 years. And I know people may not like this, but this is God's money. The metals, I believe, were mentioned around 140 plus times in the Bible. God mentions the streets of gold in heaven, okay? God loved gold and silver. He rewarded nations. He rewarded certain people in the Bible with gold and silver. Now, that doesn't mean you worship it. You don't worship gold, you don't worship silver. You put it away for your security, your financial security. But God gave you a brain and he gave you free will. And I believe you shouldn't be buying into bubbles. I believe you should be buying undervalued assets, the kind that God put on this earth to keep you safe financially. A lot is coming, and many people are going to remain complacent. And as these markets continue to go up, more complacency is going to settle in. Do not be fooled. You know, it's almost like they're inviting you into the water. It's beautiful. Everybody's going to make money. Nothing bad's ever going to happen. They're inviting you into the water. You know, jump in the water. Everybody's coming in. But what they don't tell you is what's lurking under the water. There is a 20-foot shark, a 20-foot great white shark lurking under that water. So while they keep suckering people into the markets, keep suckering people into the housing market and the stock market, telling you there's no fear, there's no danger, there's no threat, come on in, everybody's doing it. That great white shark is lurking, and he is going to devour as many victims as he can because he has a massive appetite. This collapse is going to have a massive appetite, and it's going to devour a lot of people. Yeah, everything looks good on the outside, but down below, you don't see the dangers that are lurking down below. And there are big dangers down below. And when the lifeguard warns you that there was a shark sighting, you shouldn't go in the water. Well, I'm here to warn you, there have been many shark sightings in the water. Be very cautious if you go in the water. Me, I'm going to stay on the beach on firm ground, and I'm going to keep buying this stuff right here. Gold and silver, hard tangible assets. This is going to keep you alive. You jump in the water, enter at your own risk. But I'm here to tell you, there's big great white sharks lurking down below, and they are going to devour these people who've been hoodwinked and bamboozled into these markets, who've entrusted their lives, their futures, and their retirements in these financial institutions. God bless you guys. Talk to you very soon.